Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Monday. Welcome back from the weekend. Hope it was a great one. We look forward to spending the next 3 hours with you here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our video streaming channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. However, wherever you're joining the program today, thanks so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in a bit. We'll see if we can't get Brendan Dworzinski in here to talk about his Jayhawks. 3 hours of sports talk coming your way. We are with you until 6 o'clock with the whole weekend to get to, but we're going to mainly focus on just the one big thing. Kansas, for a fourth straight year, will not see the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. The first time that's happened since before I was alive. And folks, I ain't as young as I used to be. It's been a long time since Kansas has failed on this scale. And failure might strike you as a little bit of a harsh word when it comes to the loser-generating machine that is the NCAA tournament. That is what a 68-team bracket with one winner does. It generates losers. You are going to go bust. You are going to lose. But Kansas hasn't lost this early in 4 straight years since the early to mid-'80s. And again, I wasn't alive for that. So these are fairly unprecedented times for a couple of generations of Jayhawk fans. But it was so close. It was close enough to taste. The Jayhawks had rallied from a 14-point deficit. They tied the game at 65. And then Bill Self screwed the pooch with a poorly thought out, poorly conceived, and poorly executed strategy that ultimately led to St. John's being able to score the game's winning points. Dylan Darling, a name that will live in KU infamy, with the hoop, his first of the game at the buzzer, to move St. John's to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1999 and send KU packing in the first weekend for a fourth straight year. We're going to talk all about it. The bitter irony of the defeat when it comes to roster construction. What made previous Jayhawk teams fail? Well, it was still lingering and still bit them, even though this was a much better constructed roster than the last couple. We'll talk about the Endgame and why it was the wrong decision. And far be it for me to be overly critical of a head coach with 2 national titles and all those career wins. Bill Self got it wrong, and it's a big part of why KU's going home. We'll get into that. Also, you've heard me say this on the program. It's not an original thought or an original saying of mine, but it's one that I'm fond of. History doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. 2025-26 KU basketball kind of rhymes with 2013-2014 KU basketball. And again, that itself is hardly an original thought, but you really feel it now after a second-round exit, which is exactly the same round that the Andrew Wiggins, Joel Embiid Jayhawks exited in all the way back in 2014. So plenty to say about KU's loss yesterday to St. John's in San Diego. We're going to get to it all. And, of course, we want to hear from you throughout the program. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Can also, of course, interact in the live chat on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. That is 580 Sports Talk. Hop in there today. Get your takes, get your comments, get your questions in. Interact with your listeners or interact with your hosts as we go along. I see Vance, Paul, Ryan, 4B in the chat, Andrews in the chat. Appreciate everybody who is already in today. Look forward to hearing from more of you as we go along on this Monday. Plenty of KU to get to today, but that's not all we've got on 580 Sports Talk today. We're going to talk about the tournament at large. You've been hearing this a lot over the last 4 days. Is Cinderella dead? Are we ever going to see Cinderella make an appearance at the NCAA tournament again. And no, Texas doesn't count. You can't be a Cinderella as a double-digit seed if you come from a power conference. We all know this. Iowa doesn't count just because they beat up one seed in the second round. They don't count. They're a power conference. Shout out Ben McCollum, though. They got a bunch of KC kids, mostly KC Mo, but they got a bunch of KC kids. So that's kind of cool to see Iowa onto the Sweet 16. But they're not a Cinderella. Have we killed Cinderella? Has the modern era of college basketball killed Cinderella? A lot of people are asking that question. I'm going to ask a different question. If it means we get all these awesome basketball games on the second round of the tournament, is it so bad if Cinderella's not around anymore? I'll trade a good story for a great basketball game. I know that much. But we'll talk about that. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show today. Also, there are real live baseball games that get to be played this week. So we're going to talk some Royals baseball, especially as it looks like the bullpen is set for Kansas City. Looks like we know who is going to start the year in Matt Quattro's bullpen. Maybe there's a position spot or two still up for grabs. They haven't announced the opening day roster, haven't really even fainted toward it, but it certainly looks like the Royals have decided on their opening day bullpen. So we'll get into that. You're going to hear Royals baseball tonight here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. We're able to bring you one of the exhibition games from Texas as the Royals wrap up preseason play. They play in Texas tonight. They play in Texas tomorrow, and then they all count for real after that. We'll bring you tonight's game. It's a 7:05 first pitch. We'll have pregame coverage at 7 o'clock from the Royals Baseball Network here on 580 WIBW. But we'll get into some Royals baseball later in the show. We're going to talk some football, too. We always do on a Monday with our NFL insider, Matt Verderame. He will join us at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, SI.com, joining us in about 25 minutes or so. And, of course, your typical Monday shenanigans. We've got headlines in the 5 o'clock hour, plenty to get to there. We've got a new week of What Is Wrong With You as we get closer to the end of March and crowning a new monthly champion. We got Good, Bad, Ugly from the week that was, or the weekend that was as well. That's all coming up here on 580 Sports Talk today. One more shout out for that text line, 785-272-9429, and the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel. Go subscribe, by the way. We got to a round number. We're up at 940. Let's get to 950 by the end of the week. And then we can start counting down to 1,000. And then we're actually going to have to come up with something to do for you guys. Try to top karaoke and arm wrestling for 1,000 subscribers. But we're getting close. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel today, 580 Sports Talk, and hop on into that chat today. Especially want to hear from you if you are a KU fan, because goodness knows, we got some KU haters in the chat who are making their voices heard. St. John 67, KU 65. And this is the bitter irony in that loss for Kansas. The previous two seasons were spent measuring roster building success by the size of the names on the marquee and the outlay of NIL dollars. And that was met with diminishing returns, not just in terms of the results on the court, but the overall vibes of Kansas basketball had kind of been dragged down into the dirt the last couple of years. Last season's team in particular, not only were they not particularly good, they were not a fun watch. They were not a fun hang. They were hard to watch. The vibes were terrible. And it culminated with one of the guys who was beloved on that roster, KJ Adams, tearing his Achilles in a first-round loss. The Hunter Dickinson big money NIL era of Kansas basketball ended with a thud in that first-round loss last season. And you can sort of understand where, after missing the tournament in 2023 due to a health issue, where Bill Self couldn't coach, and man, if he'd been on the sidelines against Norm Roberts, I'm pretty sure that 2023 team beats Arkansas and at least gets to the Sweet 16. Now, that Arkansas team was good. That Arkansas team had pros. You could understand if that was the first time that maybe Bill Self had confronted his coaching mortality, about which more as we go on today and possibly through this week, and looked at the transfer portal as the way to quickly fix the roster, quickly get it back to a championship level, maintain the championship level that it was not that far removed from after 2023. They had just won a literal national championship in 2022. But it didn't work. It didn't work, and Kansas basketball was worse for it having not worked. So going into this year, Kansas finally builds a roster the way you're supposed to build a roster. Go get a bona fide star, Darryn Peterson, best high school recruit in the country, arguably. Build around that star with sensible pieces out of the transfer portal that maybe don't break the bank, but contribute not just to winning, but to the team's culture. Trey White and certainly Melvin Council did exactly that. And it made this, even in its disappointing premature end on Sunday, a fun season of Kansas basketball. There are going to be more memories that I think Kansas fans take away that are positive from this season than either of the previous two combined. You got the Arizona game. You got DP's first half against BYU. You got his game winner in Lubbock. You've got the Melvin Council game at North Carolina State. You've got Melvin Council, period, as a memory for this year's team. This was, at times, a really fun year and a team with some really good vibes and much more of a Bill Self kind of basketball team. Kansas basketball returned to its roots and was rewarded, moved back up the seed line, moved back up the Big 12 standings, and who knows just how good it could have been if Darryn Peterson hadn't been slowed by injuries. But in the end, it's the same exact result as the previous two seasons. A loss in the opening weekend of the tournament. And this is where the bitter irony comes in. Who was St. John's' best player yesterday? I guess you could argue Bryce Hopkins because he hit twice as many threes in yesterday's game as he had in a single game all season long. Bill Self and KU dared him to make a bunch of shots and dared St. John's to make a bunch of shots. And, well, they didn't make a bunch, but they made more than they usually do. And St. John's certainly needed every single one of them. Wasn't a bad gamble by KU. You could argue Bryce Hopkins was St. John's best player yesterday, but their best player yesterday and their best player all season, of all people, it's the guy KU ran off so they could buy Hunter Dickinson. And look, I don't know exactly how good KU would have been with Zuby Ejiofor on this roster, but I think if you change nothing else about this Kansas roster and add Zuby to it, they are at minimum still playing. Because, man, could you imagine a better four-man to complement Flory Badunga at the 5 than Zuby? So Zuby could do all that interior scoring that Flory really couldn't, and Flory could do all of the defending and shot blocking that's not Zuby's strength. Gosh, he would have been perfect next to Flory on both ends. Oh, man. What a front court that would have been. What a front court that could have been. Had Zuby Ejiofor not read the writing on the wall when Hunter Dickinson got the bag and decamped for St. John's, where he became the best player in the Big East. There is your irony. Kansas finally gets it right in terms of roster building, and they get burnt by a guy who was a casualty of those years where they got it wrong. And speaking of getting it wrong, the other thing you have to talk about with this loss is the endgame strategy. And it's borderline miraculous that there was an endgame to talk about. 7 minutes into that game, when Flory Badunga picked up his second foul, I thought that game had the makings of a game that Kansas might lose by 20. Their saving grace is, again, St. John's can't shoot. They shot a mess of threes, and they made double-figure threes for the second game in a row, but I think only the second time all season. But that is not a great offensive team. They are a very good defensive team, but they are not a great offensive team. And that was Kansas's saving grace, their own defensive effort, and St. John's ineptitude on offense. Kept Kansas within arm's length for the long haul, but even down 14 in the second half, sort of felt like we were headed towards a pretty logical conclusion. And then KU woke up. The mental toughness of this team. that has not been in question, even when you have questioned some of their physical toughness. You cannot question the mental toughness of these Kansas Jayhawks. And it showed up. Darryn Peterson got active. Guys made big defensive plays. Cole Rosario, ice cold off the bench, made the 3 biggest plays of his entire season in like a 3-minute stretch. And paid off what Bill Self had said about Rosario. Because remember, he was in the starting lineup for the opening exhibition against Louisville. Bill Self said about Rosario, the one thing he can do that's at a really, really high level, a Big 12 level already, jump really high and offensive rebound. Sure can. Sure can and sure did there down the stretch. All the momentum felt like it was on Kansas' side after they tied the game. And I don't know how you felt watching it, but I felt watching it like if Kansas could get it to overtime, they were going to win the game. And then Bill Self told his guys to start fouling. And I know after the game, he said, yeah, we didn't handle it right. He owned that they didn't handle it exactly right, that the first foul that Rosario gave, which was the 3rd team foul, came too early. And then all of the other fouls had to happen pretty quick. And by the time you get to the foul that means you have no more to give, that gave St. John's nearly 4 full seconds from midcourt. Darling gets downhill for them, and the rest is history. But as it started, like as it unfolded, as that first foul was given, I could see the gears turning on the Kansas sideline. Felt like, okay, this makes a little bit of sense. Because what you do is you are disruptive. You make St. John's have to go fast without much time to do it. But there were 2 ways in which this was mishandled. Number 1, don't just give the fouls away for free. Go for the steal. Go for the tie-up. You had an opportunity. Bill Self had a chance with those free throws being shot by Peterson to call in a press. And maybe not a full court press. Maybe you don't quite go full on 2-2-1, but get some defenders in the faces of ball handlers, be disruptive, go for the tie-up. And if you don't get it and you get called for a foul, oh well, that's fine. That's an outcome you can live with. But the risk is not accompanied by any kind of reward. Because what if they don't call the foul? What if you do strip Darling 90 feet from the basket, and all of a sudden Melvin Council's got nothing between him and a go-ahead layup with 8 seconds left? Go and make a play. Don't just lazily give a foul. How that didn't occur to anyone is kind of mind-boggling. But if you've got all those fouls, don't just give them away. Aggressiveness would have been the play there to try and create something that would have maybe resulted in a turnover. Or maybe it wouldn't have, and you just give away the fouls anyway. But at least you tried. These were just lazy take fouls. And then you give them all away. And the last one was the worst one because it left too much time. It was the 4th on Badunga, which, why is he out there in the first place? If you're just defending to give a foul, either put him underneath the basket or get him out. Because you're thinking you are playing in that moment for Kansas. You are playing for overtime. You want your best big with 4 fouls going into OT? You want the other team to be in the bonus going into overtime? They fouled too much. They had to have a foul in their hip pocket to give, and they didn't. And you know how you could tell that they didn't? How scared Elmarko Jackson was to foul Darling on the drive to the basket that won the game. You can call it bad defense if you want. Offensive player always has the advantage. They know where they're going before the defense knows where they're going, right? Offensive player will always have the advantage, always be able to get even a quarter of a step. And that's one thing. But Elmarko played that possession, those final 4 seconds, like he knew, I can't get my hand in the cookie jar. I can't disrupt. If he beats me, I can't reach in and give a foul because then that puts him at the line and we don't have any timeouts and we've got to go the length of the floor and get a point or two in less than 4 seconds. You had to keep a foul in your hip pocket to cover for the possibility that there might have been the mistake. And this is me giving more grace to Bill Self than a lot of people have been willing to with regards to this strategy, because I think it is also entirely reasonable to say, just play it out. And if somebody does beat you on a drive, okay, give the foul just in the flow of action. All right, somebody's got to step on you. Go ahead and give that foul because you got all of them to give just about. But make them play it out. How many times have we seen a disorganized and disjointed 14-second possession where a team's got 14 seconds to figure out what it is they're going to do, and they short circuit, and the ball becomes hot potato, and you pass up a good shot because you're looking for the perfect shot, and maybe you don't get one off, or maybe you get a bad one or a contested one off. It's certainly not a layup most of the time. You can organize your defense, and the offense sometimes gets a little bit disorganized. Remember, St. John's couldn't call a timeout either. So the argument is play it out. Play it out and see what St. John's does. And if you have to give a foul in that spot, give the foul. If Zuby is backing his way down with 2 seconds, give the foul right there. Make him run a baseline out of bounds to win the game. Bill Self didn't do that. They botched it. They botched it 6 ways from Sunday. They gave St. John's no choice but to basically one pass, one shot. And sometimes, and you probably know this in your own life, the less time you have to think about something, the better a decision you make because you don't overthink it. St. John's didn't overthink it. They got downhill. They got to the cup. And of all of the what-ifs from Sunday and all of the what-ifs from this what-if of a season for the Kansas Jayhawks, I have just one more to end this segment on. What if Flory had tried to block the shot? Why didn't he jump? Why didn't he spike that off the glass? Was it because he was afraid of the 5th foul? Was it because he was afraid of the bonus? We'll never know. But had that been handled better all the way around, had it been handled more reasonably, had it been handled more aggressively, maybe it never comes to that. And the game goes overtime, and KU, having eaten into that 14-point lead and brought it all the way back, KU with momentum going to OT, I think they win it. I think they move on. St. John's wasn't that much better than them. Those teams were pretty finely poised, as a 2-point margin would suggest. But KU had the momentum. They were rolling. Peterson had found his shot. He was getting to the rim. Man, 5 more minutes. Yeah, ironically, I think that's probably what Cal Baptist left San Diego on Friday night thinking when they ate into a 26-point KU lead and only lost by 8. They probably thought, man, if basketball games were 43 minutes, we probably would have beaten them. We could have caught them. Yesterday's game at 45. Maybe KU does it, but it was 40. And St. John's needed all 40. They send KU packing. And for the first time since before I was born, and again, I'm starting to see some gray in my temples. I'm not as young as I used to be. First time since the mid-'80s. Kansas, short of the Sweet 16, 4 straight years. We'll talk about it more. We got your reaction coming from the YouTube live chat, from the text line, 785-272-9429. We've also got Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, coming up bottom of this hour. We'll talk more about the what if, the biggest what if from Kansas's season and how it resembles 12 years ago for Kansas basketball, and the other broader takeaway from what Kansas is missing that is keeping them from doing what they want to do and get to where they want to go in the NCAA tournament. We got some baseball. We got what is wrong with you in headlines. We got a jam-packed show today. Really glad you're along here on 580 Sports Talk. 3:32 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting started on this Monday afternoon. So glad to be with you. My name is Dan Lucero. Told you Jayhawks fans to get in on the chat and the text line today because the K-State fans are, and they're enjoying themselves. We got a text from 785. The NIL era isn't good for the Jayhawks because everyone can pay their players now. Look, if you just want to look big picture at how NIL has changed how teams can go about acquiring talent, how it has changed broadly the landscape of major revenue college sports, just consider that these two things are both true. Nebraska men's basketball is in the Sweet 16, and Indiana football is the reigning undefeated national champion. And imagine those things being true even 10, 15 years ago. No chance. Man, I covered those Nebraska teams in the early 2010s. I covered Doc Sadler's teams. They stunk on ice. So there is that. And that's a broader discussion, probably one I want to save for tomorrow or later on this week. But yes, this is 4 straight years for KU out of the Sweet 16, first time since the early 80s. It's also 3 straight years they did not win the conference title. That's first since the early 2000s. The landscape is changing. Doesn't mean that Kansas isn't in good shape to continue to be successful and thrive, but it does mean that the landscape is changing and that there are things that you can no longer take for granted. And I think in basketball, one of the things you can't take for granted, and to Kansas's credit, they have been slower to arrive at this than a lot of their blue blood brethren. But there are just things you can't take for granted anymore. Look at the other blue bloods and look at the down years. What a down year has looked like in the last decade for Kentucky or UCLA or Indiana or even North Carolina. What a down year looks like there and what a down year looks like at Kansas. You'd still rather be Kansas. They've managed to ward that off, but now, yeah, you can't guarantee those long runs through the tournament. It used to sort of feel like birthright. Also on the live chat today over on our YouTube channel, Bill Self non-committal about his future after the game, said, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is pretty close, I love what I do. I want to feel good while I do it. Also did say that physically he feels as good as he has. But certainly Bill Self's health is going to be part of the equation that determines whether or not he's the head coach moving forward. 4BS in the live chat says, Self can stay or go. It's up to him. Other than Cole Rosario, everybody else can go. I wonder if Rosario would have been on your list for BS if not for the 3 minutes he had where he had the 3 that he hit out of the corner and then the 2 big offensive rebounds that he got. One, the putback tip in, and one, the tap. The play that was almost out of bounds to, I think it was Trey White for the hoop. As far as like the long-term outlook for Kansas, they've got another really good recruiting class coming in as per normal. And if they get Tyron Stokes, it looks even better. But continuity matters. Culture and continuity, that's important. We've learned what it looks like when you have zero continuity and culture. We learned that lesson. We watched what happened in Manhattan as the Jerome Tang era deteriorated. So I'm not just in favor of saying, yeah, run all these guys out of here. I think Elmarco Jackson has shown enough flashes that I would like to keep him in the program, even though he did not play well down the stretch, and he was certainly not good yesterday and was on defense for the winning basket, which that's gonna live long in the memory. I'd like to see Tiller return. I think Flory's probably headed for the draft. That's an interesting conversation about Flory as an NBA prospect. It all kind of comes down to how tall he actually is, I think. But I don't think you just usher everybody out the door. I don't think you want to turn into Kansas State just because of the frustration of one loss. I think you'd like to keep, certainly Rosario, I think is a project. And I think Elmarco's still a project, which you hoped he wouldn't be by now, but some of that stuff's not his fault. The injury's certainly not his fault. Jamari's the program guy. You keep guys like that around. Certainly Tiller. Big B-ball Paul and Bia. Keep him around. But, yeah, they're going to be pretty freshman-laden again next year and probably have to be led by those guys. And I wanted this. KU fan firing back in the text from the 785. KU standards are high enough at the problem when you don't make a Sweet 16. What's the standard for K-State basketball again? Point and counterpoint. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, Matt Verderame will join us. We're going to talk a little football. We'll get back into KU and the season that almost was, but was not quite for them in a little while. But we're going to talk some football with our NFL insider next here on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk, Matt Verderame, who covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Also appears on That Football Show, the KC Sports Network, and has his own subscriber-only Patreon you can subscribe to, the Matt Verderame Show. Joins us every Monday at this time here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, how's your bracket looking?
The bracket is okay. Not bad. I still have all the Final Four teams involved, but as a St. John's fan, I'm happy that they're still playing. I know that's probably not the most popular thing to say on this radio station right now, but
hey, well, first Sweet 16
whatever.
Since '99, right?
Yes, I was 11 years old. I'm currently 37. So yes, it's nice to see.
Was that Artest, LeVar Postel? Was it those guys?
Yes. Mike Jarvis was the coach, and then they had like 800 violations of NCAA rules, and they basically were just turned into a dumpster fire for 25 years. It was good times.
LeVar Postel is one of those names. It's like, why do I know that name? Why do I still remember that name? That's the beauty of March Madness.
He was really good.
Yeah, he was a good player. Like some of those wore those really flowy red baggy shorts.
Yes, and he got drafted by the Knicks, and everybody was like super excited about it, and it was terrible. And then, they went to the Elite Eight that year, and they lost to Ohio State, and the star player of that team was Michael Redd, who you might remember played for the Hawks. He was a really good shooting guard. He lit them up. They lost by 4 points, and I remember thinking like, Artest, like he's coming back next year. We'll be really good again. No, terrible.
Well, there's some 11-year-old KU fan who just had the same experiences as you did in 1999. But I would take the over on or the under on 25 years or 26 years between Sweet 16s for the Jayhawks. Matt Verderame is our NFL insider joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, Travis Kelce's back in Kansas City. We knew that was coming. He signed his contract officially today. There's all the social media content out there about it today. What can the Chiefs reasonably expect from Kelce this season? If he puts up a year statistically that looks like last year, is that good enough for the production for what the Chiefs are paying pretty premium prices to keep around the future Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I think it is. Oh, by the way, the reporting around the contract is abjectly hilarious. It really, we've got to come together as a nation and stop the way these contracts are reported. It's always 3 years, $57 million. No, it's not. It's 1 year and $12 million. And if the Chiefs keep him on the roster on like June 9th of next year, a $40 million cap picture goes, guess what? He's not going to be on the roster next year under that contract on June 9th. So, yeah, look, I mean, for 1 year and essentially $12 million, and really this year it's like $4 million against the cap, and they have a couple of like dead cap hit years, void years. They never do, by the way. They did for him. Yeah, if he repeats what he did last year, to me, that's a good year. If he has 70 to 80 catches, 800 to 900 and change, like that's really good. And honestly, last year he would have had better stats than he did, except the last 3 games they were playing with Chris Oladokin and they couldn't throw a pass. But I mean, if he has 900 yards, which I think is absolutely reasonable, I think it's viable that he has that. That's a really good year. Now the question becomes, do they want him to have those numbers? Because if he's having 80 catches and 900 yards, that's a really solid year no matter who you are. It also means that they're probably still really relying on him. And they might be, because who knows what's going on with Rashee Rice. But you think they want to run the ball a little more this year. They should want to run the ball a little more this year. If Rice is there, I would imagine that they would try to pepper him with the ball quite a bit. So, yeah, I think he's capable of those numbers. Whether or not the Chiefs want to see him have 80, 85 catches is another conversation.
Do you think Kelsey's back because he discovered he still had enough in the tank, because he was as productive as he was? Or is this another I can't go out like that situation where he doesn't want his last year to be on a 6-11 team catching passes from Chris Oladokin the final 3 weeks?
I think it's more the second thing than the first thing. But I think, it's a weird thing to say about a guy who's accomplished both individually and team-wise everything he could possibly accomplish. I think there's a part of him, just from a 30,000-foot view of this situation, that probably feels like 2025 was a complete disaster. 2024, while it was not a disaster, they got to the Super Bowl, they won 15 games. I don't know that was a year that, if you asked a lot of guys in that building, was this a fun year? I don't know that it was. They won a lot of games. They had success. It was not a great team. They had to pull a Houdini act to win a lot of those games. I think, that was a year that was almost, I don't know what the right word, trying, was just very laborious. I remember talking to some people in the building in December when the season was winding down. They'd been eliminated from the playoffs. And more than a few occasions heard, we are exhausted. We are just so tired. And I wonder if part of Kelsey coming back, yes, they went 6-11, but there's a little bit of invigoration here. Like, they actually have something to prove, and it's fun, and they're chasing something where for years and years and years, they have just been the team that everybody is hunting, everybody's trying to chase down. I think there's a little bit of a different mindset. I think that might contribute to why he's coming back.
Our guest is Matt Verderame, our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline, as he does every Monday at this time. The hunted right now in the AFC West, the defending division champion Denver Broncos added Jalen Waddle in a trade with the Miami Dolphins. What's your take on Waddle's fit in Denver? Is he a true number one wide receiver that really elevates that skill position group? Because he's really the only addition to that skill position group that the Broncos had last season.
Yep. I think the Waddle addition is very interesting. Look, if you go through the receivers in the league and you just try to rank them, which I actually did I went through this like a week ago when the trade happened. I think he's somewhere around the 20th best receiver in the NFL. I mean, give or take 18, 22, whatever, like right in that range. So is he a number one receiver? Yeah, I think he's a low end one. I think he's an awesome two. I think that's about what he is. He's been a very productive player. He's never had elite quarterback play. The flip side of that is, though, he always had Tyreek Hill on the other side of him. And so, look, you are always getting single coverage. Always. Because Hill is just such a freak show on the other side. If you're a defense, you worry about him first and say, look, Jalen Waddle beats us. Cortland Sutton is a very nice player. He's not Tyreek Hill. I like the trade for Denver from the standpoint of if you're going to win a Super Bowl with Bo Nix, and I don't mean this to sound like I'm slamming Bo Nix, because I'm honestly not. But if you're going to win a Super Bowl with Bo Nix, you have to build a great team around it. You just have to put, kind of like the Seahawks just do with Darnold, quite honestly. Like, Sam Darnold is not going to be the guy who's just driving the team. Like, they needed to be great around him, and they were. Denver has an elite defense. Denver has a very good offensive line. I don't even know with Waddle that you say they have elite weapons, but now they have much better weapons because Waddle's a legitimate player. The question to me becomes, they gave up a fortune to go get him. Like Miami, it's a home run of a trade. If you're Denver, the question is Bo Nix good enough to make this trade worth it? Because Waddle can't throw himself the ball. Like, they are going to need Nix to not have these stretches, and I mean huge stretches, 3/4 worth in games, where he looks like he doesn't know the object of the sport, and then he plays great for like 15 minutes, and then there are some games he's fine. They need him to be consistently really good. Because otherwise, yeah, Waddle's terrific, but you're not going to get the most out of it because the quarterback can't do it. So I like the trade for Denver. I understand the trade for Denver, but there are other factors at play that are going to determine whether or not that trade is successful.
Does it feel a little bit all in for Denver to you in the sense that, like you mentioned, Bo Nix is such a big part of whether this works or not, but they are going to get to the point, this next year is year 3. They'll have 2 more years, the 4th year and the 5th year option. But typically teams pay their quarterbacks after that 3rd year when they know they've got their guy. But the thought of $55-60 million a year Bo Nix makes it seem like it's going to be really hard to build a competitive roster with that sitting on your salary cap. So do the Broncos maybe feel like this is the year before Nix gets prohibitively expensive and it gets really hard to win with him, that we've got to make this work?
Yeah, it does. I think a lot of things are at play here. Denver, number one, Bo Nix on a rookie contract is a hell of a lot more appealing than Bo Nix got on 5 years, $300 million. Okay. Number two, this defense, it's much harder to keep a defense together in the NFL than it is an offense. An offense, if you've got the quarterback and decent weapons around that guy, you can be really good for a long time. Defensively, if you've got 6 really good players, but 5 guys aren't that good, like, it just falls apart very quickly. I think Denver knows, listen, defense should still be really good, but you are on borrowed time when you're built defense first in today's NFL. You just are. It's very hard to keep that together. Just ask Philadelphia. Secondarily, yes, the contract is part. I also think, though, it's the shape of the AFC right now. Kansas City's kind of in this weird spot where, look, the Chiefs could hit the draft well, and we could be sitting here in December and they're 13-4. And I don't think anybody'd be shocked by that. We could also be sitting here and the Chiefs are fighting for a playoff spot because the draft is like so-so, or maybe the guys are slow developing, and Mahomes isn't 100% Mahomes, and Denver still has this opportunity to go on a run. Buffalo's in a weird spot. Baltimore's in a weird spot where both of them new coaches, kind of trying to figure out what the next iteration of those teams look like. Like, if I'm Denver, I'm looking at this year going, if not now, when? Because Nix is only going to get more expensive. The defense is only going to get older and more expensive. Sutton's not a spring chicken. He's in his 30s. Like, we kind of got to win that. And if they don't, and then some of these big picks for the Chiefs start hitting, and the Bills and the Ravens get their footing with these new coaches, like, those teams are always going to have an advantage on Denver because they're the quarterbacks. So it makes it much tougher.
Last one for Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. It's a bit of a 2-part question. Jackson Smith-Njigba today agrees to terms on the largest contract ever for a wide receiver, $42.15 million a year, a 4-year contract extension for the reigning Offensive Player of the Year. What do you think of his chances to maintain that value through the length of the contract, and who's the next wide receiver to reset the market at that spot after JSN?
Puka Nacua. Probably get $45 million a year. I mean, I think Nacua is probably the answer. He's got 1 year left on his deal. He's been obviously spectacular. So I would guess him. Look, it's a ton of money. I mean, he's basically getting paid like a quarterback. So that contract, if I'm Seattle, on one hand scares me because as great as he is, when you're paying non-quarterbacks that kind of money, that guy's got to tilt the field. That guy's got to tilt the field like a first ballot Hall of Famer. If he can do that, fine. Can he continue to do it? I mean, we've seen guys have a year or two where they're great, then it kind of declines. We've had other guys who, we were talking about Tyreek Hill earlier. Tyreek Hill did it for 8-9 years in a row. So if he does that, then great. The other thing that does help Seattle, though, too, is he's still got years on his rookie deal. So you're not paying him the big dollars immediately. And the other side of it is, look, you know what? If you're Seattle, you know that by the middle of that contract, he'll be like the seventh highest paid receiver. So, the market's always going to go up, the cap's going to go up, the numbers are going to go up. It all kind of takes care of itself. It is a huge contract. I understand why they gave it to him. If he can maintain the way he played the last couple of years, yeah. I mean, then you feel probably like, you know what, we'll absorb that cap. And plus, they're not paying Darnold $70 million a year. They're paying him half that. So they can get away with it where other teams can't.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League at Sports Illustrated and SI.com. Also appears on That Football Show and the KC Sports Network. Operates his own subscriber-only Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show, and joins us on 580 Sports Talk every Monday at this time. Matt, always a pleasure that Johnny's going to beat Duke this weekend.
I hope so. I really do. If the refs let him play, yes.
All right. Calling his shot. Matt, appreciate the time. We'll check in with you again next Monday.
Sounds good. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and we will get the good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend that was to wrap up this 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. The good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was to wrap up this 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. The good, well, the basketball was really good. Vanderbilt, Nebraska was one of the best basketball games I've ever seen. Incredible finish. If they don't overinflate the basketballs in the NCAA tournament, I think Tyler Tanner's shot goes in. I think Vanderbilt wins. But they do. Those balls are like beach balls. Like rock-hard beach balls, the way they inflate them for the NCAA tournament. It's the darndest thing. That was my good. Vandy, Nebraska was an unbelievable game. Iowa, Florida, also extremely good. We got some really good basketball all weekend long. Had a great first weekend of the NCAA tournament. My bad, KU's not in anymore. And that is obviously disappointing. And we're going to talk about it more in the 4 o'clock hour. Wish we could have seen what this team was supposed to look like. I wish we could have seen the Darryn Peterson that all his teammates got to see behind closed doors. Because every single one of you, to a man, even after that game, was telling you, you have no idea. You have no idea what you didn't get to see. And that stinks. Maybe we'll see it in the NBA. For those of you inclined to watch the NBA. My ugly. I taught my son how to blow bubbles in the bathtub over the weekend. That's not ugly. That's wonderful. He's having a great time. The problem is he wants me to blow bubbles in the tub with him. And do you know how hard it is for somebody approaching 40 to get over the lip of the bathtub and get all the way down, because the water level's not high, mind you, Get all the way down there, get my face in the water and blow bubbles, making my back act up. Man, I'm going to need to see a chiropractor if he makes me blow too many bubbles in the tub. That's my back situation right now. Coming up at the 4 o'clock hour, we're talking KU and NCAA tournament plus what is wrong with you. That's all still coming on 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you until 6 o'clock tonight. Royals baseball coming up at 7 o'clock. It is the penultimate exhibition game before the games start to count for real. The Royals are in Arlington tonight to take on the Texas Rangers. We'll have the broadcast for you, 7 o'clock pregame and a 7:05, maybe 7:10 first pitch tonight. 7:05, just to be certain. So no pregame, just right on into the action tonight from Globe Life Park in Arlington. So that is, or is it Globe Life Field? It's Globe Life Field. Yeah, because the other place was the park. Yeah. It's Globe Life Field, the giant IKEA where they play baseball, miles away from the city center in Arlington. Anyhow, we got Royals baseball tonight. We have some K-State baseball coming your way tomorrow night. As K-State lost 2 out of 3 to Arizona State on the weekend, but that doesn't really do the effort justice. That series could have gone either way. It could have been a K-State sweep, honestly, for the one of some better bullpen work, certainly on Saturday. But they salvaged one with a win yesterday that you heard here on 580 WIBW. And then tomorrow night, they take on Nebraska, which is a basketball school now. And 5:30 pregame coverage for that from the K-State Sports Network from Learfield, and a 6 o'clock first pitch. Of course, Royals season openers Friday night here on the Sports Voice Kansas. Your home for the Royals since 1969. 580 WIBW, a 5:30 pregame show, and a 6:05, 6:10 first pitch from Atlanta as the Royals open their season against the Braves.
We're talking baseball. You got your Netflix ready?
Yeah, the opening game Wednesday night is on Netflix. Like most people, that's one of the umpteen streaming services that I do subscribe to. So
you got your Peacock ready?
Always. Yeah. My kid watches Barney on Peacock. Yeah, we got to have that one up.
You got your Apple TV ready?
My parents pay for that. They watch a lot of shows on that. I'm on the family plan there. My parents are Apple TV watchers. They like, what's it called? Slow horses. I try to get into that. Clue. I try to get into that. The accents were too thick. I needed what do you call it? Captions. I needed captions for the dialogue, the English accents in Slow Horses. I got Ted Lasso coming back though. I don't know who asked.
The season that they filmed in Kansas City.
I don't think anybody was asking for it, but I'll watch it. You know, feed it to me. I'll watch that garbage. It was a really good show in its first season, and season 3 was. I felt like I could have used my time more productively than season 3 of Ted Lasso. But hey, we'll give it a shot. Season 4. I like Jason Sudeikis. We'll give another shot. But yeah, there's a lot of streaming services carrying baseball. A lot of them carrying Royals baseball. Still don't know what channel, what number I'm going to have to punch in to my Cox cable box to watch the Royals on Friday night.
I feel like you'll find out Thursday afternoon.
We might find out Friday morning. It might be Friday at lunch where the Royals put that out. So yeah, for those of you wondering, hey, I'm a cable subscriber. I've been able to watch the Royals all these years on television. I always had FanDuel, Bally, Fox Sports, Kansas City, whatever it was. I could always watch the Royals. Where am I going to be able to watch the Royals this year? I don't know.
It's okay.
We'll find out together. We'll find out together.
You're not alone. My Nationals Twitter has been filling up with the same questions.
Yeah, you'll find out probably like opening day. So, we'll get to some more baseball a little bit later on in the show today. Got some more NCAA tournament to talk about. Certainly want to talk more about KU's second round loss to St. John's yesterday evening. Want to hear from you on the program. The text line is open. 785-272-9429 is that number. 785-272-9429. You can also get in with us in the live chat on our YouTube stream. The name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. That is 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. So hop on in there and say hello and be a part of the discussion today. Tell us how your bracket looks. Again, nobody else cares, but we care. We're your buddies on the radio, and we care how your bracket looks. You want to know how my bracket looks? Average. That's not a joke. I am in the 50th percentile, 51st if you round up, on the ESPN bracket challenge.
When you say percentile, you mean like the one next to your rank where it says PCT, right?
Yes, that is your percentile ranking.
I'm in the 83rd and a half.
Okay. You are leading the 580 Sports Talk crew for certain. Brendan picked KU to win it all like he always does, and that went how you all know it went. Although he is at least off the last page of
he is finally.
Yes,
He was
he's off the last page of results, but I don't think anybody. No, that's not true. We have one guy who picked Virginia to win it all. It looks like his entire 3 of his 4 Final Four is out. So that might be the lowest possible score left. You can look at max score and see where you are there. See, I've still got a pretty good. My max score is still pretty good.
What's your max score?
1640. So it's much better than yours.
That's because Florida lost.
Yeah.
Florida was
you got a Final Four team out.
They were in the Natty.
Oh yeah, you got your runner up out. That stings. Shout
out to 4201 Brett picks 24. He's our leader. Don't know if he's a listener or somebody that jumped in on Twitter.
Yeah, don't know if he is a listener, but yeah, strong bracket. But he's got a bit of a cap on how well he can do because he also had Florida in his Final Four. So he cannot, like, our second place, our person in second place in our bracket pool right now had Florida winning the whole thing. So they're not obviously going to win it, but they had a really good performance picking the Sweet 16 teams. I got 6 of the Elite 8. My whole Final Four still alive. My champ was Arizona. They're obviously still in it. So I'm going to rise up the standings by the time this is all said and done. I got a feeling. I'm not worried about where I'm. It's not where you start. It's where you finish, right? Not where you start. It's where you finish. Anyhow, KU is finished. They are done playing basketball. They lost to St. John's yesterday, 67-65, in a game that I referred in our group text. I referred to as an affront to basketball for several minutes of the first half. There's a broader discussion, and we're going to have that broader discussion. Michael Swain, our Jayhawk insider, is going to come on tomorrow. If he's out of the airport by then, he had a flight back this morning. If you've been following the news, you know it's not exactly real fun to be in an airport right now. Hopefully the San Diego airport's moving a little swifter than the Atlanta airport, to name one. But anyhow,
although I feel like we're privileged here in the Kansas City airport because apparently everything's running smooth there.
Wow, fingers crossed it stays that way for our travelers into the Kansas City area. Anyhow, we're gonna have Michael Swain on the show tomorrow. So I want to save the broad stroke, big picture Bill Self discussion for tomorrow, because that was certainly the most he has ever sounded like he might not coach the next Kansas season. And that is just to say that he was non-committal in his post-game press conference. Not that he was that he gave any indication that he was going to step down or anything like that, but that it sounded like a possibility coming from Bill Self more than maybe it has ever felt before. And I think there is a discussion to be had about, I mean, certainly Bill Self knows what's good for Bill Self, the human being, the person, the husband, the father, the grandfather, health-wise, as to whether or not he should continue to put himself through what it is to be a major Division I head men's basketball coach. From a standpoint of, is Bill Self still good at this stuff? Yes. Doesn't mean he doesn't get things wrong. He got the foul situation absolutely wrong. We talked about that at the top of the show. The foul gambit late left KU with no recourse. They had to play straight up on the final possession. They gave St. John's both too much time to get a good shot and also not so much time that they could overthink it and play their way into a bad shot. They weren't aggressive enough defensively, giving away their fouls. And Elmarco Jackson looked more afraid to foul than willing to be aggressive defensively on the final possession. And you see where that got Kansas. But the other thing that we have to talk about when it pertains to Bill Self, I've never seen a Kansas team as bad in the half-court offense as this KU team was. If you played a half-court game against KU, that was how you beat them. That was how Cal Baptist got back in the game on Friday night. They turned it into a half-court possession-by-possession game. And KU was just a mess. They were a clogged toilet in the half-court offense for too much of the season because they didn't have enough space, because they didn't have a big man who could get easy offense. There are a lot of reasons for that. I don't think Bill Self, who's been one of the best X's and O's offense guys his whole career, has totally forgotten how to coach. But also, there's a way your team's got to look if you want to run good stuff and be a good half-court offense in modern college basketball. And Kansas, I don't know, has had a team that's really looked like that in recent years. So that's certainly part of the discussion moving forward with regard to Bill Self and his future or not as the Kansas head coach. But what I do want to say about this season as it comes to an end for Kansas, the first time I followed a Kansas basketball season start to finish from a media perspective happened to be 2013-2014. That, of course, is the Andrew Wiggins, Joel Embiid season. And it's hard not to think about that season in the context of this Kansas season, because that was the last time that Kansas had a freshman who was supposed to impact like Darryn Peterson was supposed to impact this year, and the last time that Kansas had a freshman whose injuries never really allowed him to showcase his outrageous talent in full. Of course, on the 13-14 team, that was two different guys. That was Wiggins and Embiid. This year, that was just Darryn Peterson. Darryn Peterson was somehow both Wiggins and Embiid, both nagged and hampered by injury, and so gifted, so talented that not winning big with him on the roster feels like a letdown. But if you look at the other thing that this year's team and that ill-fated 2014 team lost to Stanford in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The Stanford, I believe, were they the 7 or the 10? I don't remember. I'm not looking at the bracket from that year. But obviously, KU was the 2 seed that year, and they lost. They were in St. Louis. That was not a fun weekend of college basketball because all the teams made the tournament. That was, of course, the unbeaten Wichita State team. That was K-State was the 8th seed, or 8 or a 9, and KU came in as a 2, and they were all gone by the first weekend. Kentucky beat both K-State and Wichita State that weekend. The most underseeded Kentucky team of all. I'm still mad about it. That Wichita State team would have made a Final Four if that hadn't been the 8th seed. I'm still mad. Anyway, I was working in Wichita at the time. I was attached to those guys. The other thing that 2013, 2014, and 2025, 26 have in common for Kansas is that outside of the special freshmen, or freshmen, plural, in 13-14's case, just weren't enough good players outside of those guys on the team. Go back to 13-14. Embiid and Wiggins were your starters, along with freshman Wayne Selden, Perry Ellis, and Nadir Tharp. The guys coming off the bench, freshman Frank Mason, Jamari Traylor, and Tarek Black. Wiggins and Embiid were the only real pros on that roster. Now, I know Selden made the NBA, got a cup of coffee. Frank Mason played for a little bit, never really established himself. Tarek Black was an end-of-the-bench big longer than he probably had any right to be. That was more down to how hard he worked than anything else. And he was a transfer in from Memphis, of course. But they really only had that team. They had two guys who were, at the end of the day, long-term NBA players. And if you'd asked, and maybe Bill would have given you a different answer in 2013, 2014. But if you said, hey, one of these guys is going to be an NBA MVP and for a time be maybe the most dominant player at his position in the sport, you would have said Wiggins before you said Embiid. Maybe Bill Self would have said Embiid. Like, they were pretty cued in on how special he was going to be. But Wiggins was supposed to be that guy, right? You don't get a nickname like Maple Jordan because people think you're going to come in and have an NBA career like Andrew Wiggins' NBA career, which is a nice career. He's won a title. He's made an all-star team. He's had a very, very nice NBA career. But his nickname was Maple Jordan, and they don't give you that nickname if they think you're going to be Andrew Wiggins. And you look at this 2025-26 Kansas roster. Outside of Darryn Peterson, who's going to play in the NBA? Who's going to be a pro? For Flory Badunga, it may literally come down to the draft combine for him and how tall he really is. Because if he's 6'10", then he's a switchable defender who can guard 2 through 5 in the NBA and protect the rim. And you work on the offensive game, but you live with his defense, and that is his calling card that keeps him around as a reserve big in the NBA. If he's not 6'10", then can he really guard the 5 in the NBA? If he can't guard the 5, and offensively he can't play the 4 because he can't shoot reliably outside of 3 feet, then what is he in the NBA? I hate to do too much of the draft Nick talk because Flory Badunga has been a very good college player. At times, he has been a great one this year for Kansas. And I've said, and I'll say it again, he should be the National Defensive Player of the Year. Does that translate to the next level if he's only 6'9" in his stocking feet? I don't know. Melvin Council. Is he an NBA player? I think he's a summer league guy. I think he's a guy that maybe gets a two-way contract, end of the bench type, culture guy, or maybe he's the greatest player and most beloved player in like the history of the Lithuanian league because he's not real big and he can't shoot. Trey White's not a pro, not reliable enough shooting, not reliable enough. I mean, Trey White, when he was good, he was additive. He was additive to winning at the college level. When he was not good, you saw what that looked like yesterday. He couldn't get the ball inbounds. Elmarco Jackson's development is miles behind where you would like a McDonald's All-American's development to be. Much of that is no fault of his own. They can't control injuries. But right now, if you set the total at half an NBA game played for Elmarco Jackson, you bet the under right now without any hesitation. Maybe Bryson Tiller gets there. He's got a ways to go developmentally. But that's just it. End of the day, you want to make a deep NCAA tournament run. You want to make yourself largely upset-proof. And you want to do the things that Kansas is accustomed to doing. Playing on the second weekend, playing in regional finals, going to Final Fours. You got to have NBA guys. You got to have pros. Arizona's got pros, plural. Duke, pros, plural. Michigan, pros, plural. Kansas team, really since the 2023 team, has not had that. And again, I still think that 2023 team, I mean, they ran to an Arkansas team that has some pros. Like Anthony Black is emerged as one of the best young point guards in the NBA. He was on that Arkansas team. He wasn't any good in that game or really all that season for Arkansas. His development came later, but when you're a pro, you got a pro skill set or a pro body or both. And that goes a long way in the college game. Kansas hasn't had enough of those guys. 2023, you had Jalen, you had Grady. Two NBA guys entrenched. The championship team. Jalen, you had Ochai, who was a lottery pick. Christian Brown started on NBA, or didn't start, but played important minutes on an NBA champion. And that was a starter on a contender in the NBA. Those are the guys you have to have. Kansas this year had one, and we never got to see the very best of Darryn Peterson, other than a glimpse here and a glimpse there. Saw the first half of the Louisville exhibition. I know that game didn't even count, but if you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. You saw the first half against BYU, the game winner at Texas Tech, that stretch at the end of the first half against Cal Baptist on Friday night. And yeah, I know it's Cal Baptist, but that's what a guy as good as Darryn Peterson should look like against Cal Baptist, where for 2 minutes, it's a ball of fire. And the other guys from their tiny conference look up and down their bench and they go, yeah, well, we don't have anybody who can do that. We're in trouble. We don't have anybody who does that. That's what it could look like with Darryn Peterson. And we saw it in fits and starts and bits and pieces. Michael Swain was with us, our Jayhawk insider from Fog.net. We're going to talk to him again tomorrow. He was on with us 2 weeks ago, and he said something to the effect of, you would feel better if you were KU. Everybody would feel better if the tournament were a month from now. And I'm paraphrasing, but the implication was that because of the cramps that dogged him in fall camp and then the hamstring injury, And then the cramps coming back, the recurring cramps. It felt like Darryn Peterson was just a little bit behind schedule for being able to play in a rhythm. And he lost that time to get into a rhythm and for his teammates to get into a rhythm with him, and they never got that time back. Darryn Peterson is a remarkably gifted basketball player. And for 2, 3, 5 minutes at a time, you saw the skills that are going to make him a top 2 pick in the NBA draft. I don't think he's going outside the top 2. I think it is an open question whether it's going to be him or DeBonsa at number 1 at this point. But I don't think either of those guys is going lower than 2. And Cam Boozer probably ends up being a 3. Unless, Boozer could go win Duke a title by himself and play his way into that conversation. But, so, okay, to hedge, this is a top 3 pick in the upcoming NBA draft. And you saw it. You saw the handle. You saw the shot making. You saw some of the quickness. You saw the defensive impact. You saw some of the playmaking. But, man, what if we just could have seen what Darryn Peterson's teammates saw, what Darryn Peterson's coach saw, the way Bill Self was talking about Darryn Peterson in the offseason? It wasn't. Bill Self is not the type to blow smoke about a player. And the way he talked about Darryn Peterson, the way his teammates still in the losing locker room talked about what Darryn Peterson can be as a basketball player, tells you everything you need to know about how special this kid is and how much he must have been hindered by injury, by cramps, that we never really got to see it for an extended period of time. And oh my God, what if we had? And I have a feeling that there's going to be a night in the next couple of years where you're sitting around and KU's off, there's no college basketball on, you turn your TV to maybe it's NBC on a whatever night it is they do NBA games.
Tuesday night.
Are they Tuesday? I can't keep it straight. Or, you can't really happen upon the NBA anymore. You have to go find it. Yeah. Or ESPN Friday or ABC on the weekend. And you're going to see Darryn Peterson doing his thing on the NBA stage, and you're going to go, oh, man, what if we could have seen that in a Jayhawk uniform for a full game, even just one full game of it? Because I don't think we ever did.
No.
I don't think we ever got a full game of Darryn Peterson brilliance for a lot of reasons, and I don't think a single one of them is his fault. I don't think a single one of them is his fault.
The last few, we got a good bunch of it, but the last few minutes of the game on Friday, he couldn't get himself open.
I blame his teammates. Now that's his teammates. That's Trey White saying, "Nah, man, I got this." Like visibly waving him off. Like, "Nah, man, I got it." It's Trey White time, said Trey White, and literally no one else. Like I did. And that's one of those where those guys had developed and fairly developed confidence they could win without him because they did. Like they won some big games without Darryn. They beat Arizona. I think Arizona's going to win
in Vegas at the thing. They
went 3-0 at the Players era.
Yeah.
That's another great point. They also beat Arizona, who I think is going to win the national championship. They beat Arizona without him. So they had rightfully the confidence that we can come through in the big moments too. We can find ways to win. We can make the big play. We can make the big shot. But when you have a guy like Darryn Peterson on the court, you defer to that talent and you say, all right, man, this is you. And if you draw 3 defenders, I'm ready to do what I got to do. But if anybody's going to make something happen one-on-one, it ain't going to be Trey White. It ain't going to be, it could be Melvin Counsell, but more likely, that was their mistake on Friday. That's what almost let that game get away. And then in the first half, Peterson only shot one time in the final, I think 13 and a half minutes of the first half yesterday. And they find themselves, they weren't buried, but at the same time.
That whole first half was the oddest first half of basketball I've ever seen on both sides.
It was puke.
Yeah.
It was total puke. It was some bad basketball. But man, I will always wonder. And I wonder too if Peterson's legacy is going to be similar. And I don't think it will, because Embiid was beloved for a lot of different reasons, other than just like he was good at basketball. But like Embiid was a legend at the wing joint, KU students have stories about Embiid. If you went there at that time, they had stories about Embiid. I don't know that there are going to be stories about Darryn Peterson. I don't know that we're going to see his jersey, his NBA jersey, in the crowd at Allen Fieldhouse like we see Embiid's, or hell, like we see Christian Brown's, frankly. And that's another just opportunity lost, another what if from this season for the Kansas Jayhawks. We'll take a timeout. We're overdue for a break. What is wrong with you is next. When we come back after that, we're going to keep talking tournament because there's no Cinderella this year, unless you count Texas. And you shouldn't because they're Texas. But is it the worst thing in the world if Cinderella's dead? We'll chew on that question next on 580 Sports Talk. It is What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. We've got two news stories coming your way today. We're going to crown a champion for the week on Thursday. We're going to run our semifinals on Friday. On Monday, we're off entirely because that's the Royals home opener with a 3:21 pitch. We better not have a show that day.
Hey, shout out the Royals for the 3:21 pitch.
We do love that. We do love that.
For a home game, too, usually it's like 2 o'clock.
And on Tuesday, March 31st, final day of the month, that is the day that we will crown our March What Is Wrong With You champion. But we got to crown champion for this week first. And we begin. We'll let you go first, Spencer. I'm feeling generous. I'm going to let you lead the week.
All right, we're going to go to Plant City, Florida. A man was pulled over Sunday after several callers reported a pickup truck on Interstate 4 carrying 2 missiles, prompting bomb squad response, according to the Florida Highway Patrol. The missiles were sitting on a metal rack in the bed of the truck. The driver, Michael Nipper, explained that the missiles were for show and were used at events. He explained he purchased the missiles as a kit on a website. He then reassured FHP that the missiles did not have any type of explosive material inside and that they were made of plastic and not metal. However, the bomb squad was still contacted as a precautionary measure. The responding agencies, there was a ton of responding agencies, including the bomb squad, where they set up a perimeter. Once they determined the missiles were not real, they sent him on his way. But you can't be driving. You still can't do that, man.
With a whole truck bed full of real-looking fake missiles just out. Like, now, part of me, because this is a Florida story, I would just assume, oh, yeah, that's just a Florida guy doing what Florida guys do, driving around with heavy artillery in his truck. Better not rear end him, right?
Yeah.
Get on my merry way. He's just a weird guy with a bunch of missiles. But yeah, man, like he says he takes them to shows. They're used at events. What kind of events?
I don't know, man.
I have some questions about the nature of the events. Also, yeah, just like put a tarp over those, man. Just tarp them. I understand. Like I'm looking at his truck right now. It's looks like one of those. It's a Ford truck. It doesn't look like a very big bed.
It's a Maverick.
It's the Maverick? Okay, yeah. So the bed's not real big. The cabin doesn't look like it's real big. You can't, like, throw them in the cabin, throw them on the floor. I understand. Delicate merchandise. But I don't know, like, get a trailer for him or something.
Yeah, like...
Because this can't be the first time this has happened to him.
Causing public stress? What would be the...
Yeah, a public nuisance?
Yes, kind of. Yes. But he didn't get charged, so... Because it's Florida.
Yeah, no charge. Just we'll let this weird guy, this weirdo on his way. Anyhow, for my story today, we go to Bloomingdale, Illinois, where a suburban renter is speaking out after he says he caught a maintenance worker on surveillance camera peeing in his kitchen sink.
What?
The gentleman's name, not the sink peer, the aggrieved, the victim here. His name is Xander Manning. Xander Manning is a very funny name. That'll probably be like Arch's kid, who's like a 5-star recruit at quarterback. Or eventually, there's going to be like a Manning kid down the line who's just like, I don't want to get in the family business. I want to do musical theater.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be Marshall. Maybe it'll be Peyton's son. I don't know. I hear he's actually got a good arm. Anyhow, Xander Manning says the incident happened in February at his apartment in Bloomingdale during what was supposed to be a routine maintenance visit to fix a washing machine. Instead, Manning says his home security cameras captured the worker urinating in the kitchen sink. It was horrible, Manning said, and this has been something that has caused a significant amount of stress for both my wife and myself. Video shows the worker turning on the faucet, appearing to rinse the sink after noticing the camera. Yeah, you got to do better than just water there, pal. Manning says he confronted the worker, who appeared to admit the act. Manning is heard saying in the recording, "You're going to be a man and admit you peed in my sink, yes?" Adding, the worker faintly responded, yes. Manning called the incident a complete violation of trust, privacy, and hygiene, with the understatement of the century. You trust these people to come into your home, and you expect them to do their job correctly and not pee in your sink. Yes, as a matter of fact, that's exactly what I expect.
Yeah.
I expect those two things specifically. This guy's going to fix my washing machine, and he's not going to pee in my kitchen sink.
Bro.
He says the emotional impact has lingered, especially for his wife. The crying she did on the way home from work okay, don't sell your wife out like this, Xander. Come on. This situation has really been weighing on her. Manning says the garbage disposal has since been replaced, but argues it does not make up for the distress. He is asking for several months of free rent. Shoot your shot, man. Good luck.
Could you imagine, though, just the sheer shock?
How many months?
The sheer shock of looking at, like, footage and seeing this, though. Like, if you pulled out, like, if you had a security cam in your house, and there's the shock of the dude unzipping his pants, pulling it out, and just peeing in the sink.
How many months of rent? How many months of rent would you need to forget that your sink had been peed in? I would also need several. I might need a full year. I might need a full year free rent.
You're gonna get me out of this lease and help me find a new place to live.
I'm gonna need a full year and a new sink. You're ripping that one out, you're putting a new one in. Because that'll always be the sink that you peed in.
It'll always be the pee sink.
The pee sink. Yes, forever. Forever. Can't use it. Can't wash your vegetables in it. Can't drain your pasta. That's the pee sink now. That wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's our winner on What Is Wrong With You. Before I get any further worked up about this story, we're going to come back. We'll talk some more NCAA tournament after this. This is 580 Sports Talk. 443 on 580 Sports Talk. Text line and the YouTube chat, very funny about the what is wrong with you winner for today. You just have a text from 785 that says, in quotes, it's the same pipes.
I still can't get over the sheer shock, like seeing it on a surveillance, like on a video.
Text from 785 says, just clean it with bleach. The bacteria you spit in the sink after brushing far outweighs the pee. I believe that. If we're talking about the bathroom sink, I could get with you. It's the kitchen sink, man.
There's food there.
I cook in there. I put my dishes in there. I drain pasta. I wash vegetables. I wash produce. I don't want urine to have been anywhere near that. No, thank you. Oh, man. That's going to be a tough one to top. Even in a short week, it's going to be a tough one to top.
Yeah.
NCAA tournament this weekend. A lot of good games. Some really good games. Obviously, some dramatic finishes, including the one that did not shake in KU's favor yesterday. A lot of consternation that maybe the NIL era, the big boogeyman that is the NIL era, has killed the NCAA Tournament Cinderella. 1 through 4 seeds are perfect in the first round each of the last 2 years. We've not had a 13, 14, 15, or 16 win since St. Peter's in their run to the Sweet 16. The Elite Eight, they went to the Elite Eight, St. Peter's. Only 1 5 seed lost this year. That was Wisconsin losing to High Point. There's only 1 double-digit seed into the Sweet 16, and that double-digit seed is Texas, who is the least Cinderella-y a Cinderella a program could possibly be. Because not just are they SEC, they're Texas. So you cannot be further removed from Cinderella than Texas. There are some great stories in this tournament. There's no denying that. You've got Nebraska into the Sweet 16 for the first time ever. They've tried out this basketball thing, decided they kind of like it, and now they're in the Sweet 16. It's a great story. Iowa knocking off the defending national champions, Florida.
Ben McCollum.
I mean, look, we all knew. Nobody around here is surprised. Nobody who paid an iota of attention to the MIAA is the least bit surprised. Maybe a little bit surprising how it happened. That one of the slowest teams in the country tempo-wise played the fastest team in the country tempo-wise and had more fast break points than they did and beat them. That's maybe a little bit surprising. But, yeah, Ben McCollum having Iowa cooking, yeah, not even a little bit surprising there. So, yeah, we got some good stories. We got some great games. What we do not have is a St. Peter's. We do not have a George Mason. We do not have a 2013 Wichita State. We do not have that mid-major Cinderella in the tournament. And it is true that the transfer portal and NIL resources being more abundant for power conference teams has aided in consolidating the top basketball talent into the higher levels of the sport. The rich get richer, the poor struggle to keep up. We know how this goes. But the trade-off is when you get the higher seeds all winning, you get better games further down the road. Like, shout out to High Point for making it close against Arkansas. That was a lot of fun. That was a really fun game. And I thought for a moment that High Point might have the juice to pull off the upset. But then Arkansas did what they can do that a lot of these mid-major teams can't. Funny, the only real mid-major team that showed up with the ability to kind of do it was actually Cal Baptist. But a lot of these teams can just be bigger than you. That's one of the things that teams can do is just recruit size and just, we're going to go to work in the post. You know, these smaller teams, like the really good 6'10", 6'11", 7-footers, they've never gone to those schools, right? They go to primarily the power conference schools, and Arkansas won that game. Like the Ewan kid, he's not one of their best players, but he's a talented big. And once they decided, hey, man, we're just going to throw it into this kid and dare High Point to stack 3 guys on each other's shoulders like Vincent Adultman from BoJack Horseman and stop him. They couldn't do it. And Arkansas got the buckets they needed, got the easy buckets to keep High Point at arm's length, and they went on and win the game. But all these other games, like you still get your blowouts. Like Texas A&M couldn't hang with Houston. Kentucky flat out quit and got rolled by an Iowa State team without its best player, which that was shameful from Kentucky. Texas Tech, obviously, they hit their head on their ceiling without JT Toppin, and they got wrecked by Alabama. But the trade-off for no round one Cinderellas is typically better round two games, and usually better round three and round four games. Like, look at these games we've got lined up for this weekend. Michigan, Alabama, Illinois, Houston, Michigan State, UConn, Arizona, Arkansas.
I'm excited for that one.
Clash of styles. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
Duke and St. John's. Like, these games are going to be even Iowa, Nebraska. That's a bona fide rivalry that we get in the Sweet 16.
Nebraska winning their first 2 ever tournament games this weekend. Bonkers.
Yeah. Cool story. Like I said, not Cinderella, but a really cool story. We love a good story. High Point was really fun to watch in their 2 games. I enjoyed them. I enjoyed their little itty-bitty guard, Rob Martin, a whole lot. Their one kid that only shoots threes, Johnston. I liked that High Point team a lot. Arizona would have turned them in a roadkill.
I enjoyed watching VCU for a game and a half.
Yeah, that's about how long they kept it close against Illinois.
I mean, but I think it's Odom. Is that his name?
Ryan Odom, yeah.
His first season there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And he knows a little something about the Cinderella thing, UMBC. Yeah. Obviously, he was the coach when the Retrievers beat Virginia as the 16th seed. So we love a good story. We do. I love a good story. But I also love good basketball. And you get more good basketball when it's the provably good teams that make it into the Sweet 16 and into the Elite Eight. And a little less of the former, a little less of the good stories means a little more of really good basketball. Like, we're going to get a better second weekend because we had less chaos in the first weekend. But big picture, aren't we maybe overreacting to small sample size theater here when it comes to, we didn't see any of the top 4 seeds lose on the first game. That's so sad. Cinderella's dead. R.I.P. Cinderella. Maybe we're overreacting a little bit because among teams that did not win their first round games, you had Siena, who led number 1 overall seed Duke by double digits in the second half. Duke hasn't been trailing in a game by that many points all season. And they were down 13 to Siena with like 14 minutes left. Cal Baptist made it interesting against KU. McNeese, Kennesaw State, Santa Clara, Wright State, Hofstra, all these teams had leads. Hofstra had blown theirs by the end of the first half, but like Wright State led Virginia in the second half. Santa Clara should have beaten Kentucky. Kennesaw State was right there in their game that they played against Gonzaga. Gonzaga ended up losing in the next round. I told you they were fake. By the way, that's my one, like, the credit to me on my bracket this year. Everything else is kind of lame and stinks, but I told you Texas was going to the Sweet 16. Not because I thought Texas was good, just because I thought BYU and Gonzaga weren't. And give your boy a pat on the back.
I don't know why. I just feel like Gonzaga is so bad.
Well, they've been to the second weekend, 7 of the last 9 tournaments.
I know.
This is one of those.
I just feel like they haven't, though.
Well, they have. This is one of those where the facts don't care about your feelings. But no, like, I understand. Like, they've got that reputation. It feels like they underperform their seed. Might be a better way to put it. I feel like they lose when they should win in the tournament every year. Like, they should be like 3 or 4. Well, this year,
prior to this year, they should have been in the Final Four every year. This
year, they were definitely overseeded. They weren't real good from January onward. But yeah, we had some possibilities for some real Cinderellas, some real unbelievable upsets. They didn't come through this year. Maybe they come through next year, and it changes the narrative entirely. Maybe next year the upsets will return. But we didn't get a whole lot of upsets this year. What we're going to get, though, is a Sweet 16 and an Elite 8 that are going to rock hard. Some awesome games. We're going to take one more break this hour, come back, wrap up the 4 o'clock hour, preview the 5 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. 4:54 here on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer hanging out with you on the program today. Want to let you know, join us March 26th for the 2026 Farm Profit Seminar presented by CanEquip in Marysville, 2005 Center Street. The address, doors open at 4 p.m. There'll be demos, a free dinner, and expert insight from Bobby Reifenrath, Sarah Gideon, and Thomas Eisenbarth. Get more details about this free event. Register now at 580wibw.com. That's the Farm Profit Seminar in Marysville coming up this Thursday, 4 p.m. Free event. Get registered, 580wibw.com. We got one more hour to hang out together. We're going to talk some baseball because there are real live baseball games that count this week. Wednesday night is the opener. Most of Major League Baseball opens Thursday. The Royals among 6 teams who must wait until Friday to get the party started. We are 4 days away from opening day. We're going to take a look at tonight's Royals lineup, see if that might be a clue. And it certainly looks like their bullpen is set in stone, even though Matt Quatraro has not confirmed it. It's certainly, I think, easy to read the tea leaves as to who is going to break camp in the bullpen for the Royals, presuming that we also know their starting rotation and, of course, presuming no injuries. So get some baseball going. And again, you're going to hear some baseball tonight right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We'll have that game for you from Arlington, the Royals and the Rangers playing the first of 2 exhibitions at Globe Life Field. 7:05 first pitch, so you'll want to tune in right away if you don't want to miss any of it. 7 o'clock start here on 580 WIBW. They play one tonight, they play one tomorrow, and then the next one on Friday in Atlanta is for the money. So that is some baseball coming your way here tonight on the Sports Voice of Kansas.
If they made, so they don't need to make their 26-man till Wednesday, I would think.
You don't need to do it till Friday morning, really. They don't need to make it official until then. Typically, stuff leaks out, bits and pieces. There are a lot of teams who've already, like the Rockies don't play till Friday, but they've already announced what their rotation is going to look like and what their position player group is going to be. So some teams will do that. They'll make that stuff public. The Royals haven't done that yet. The Royals
have made their rotation public.
Oh, yeah, their rotation, but not.
Reagan's starting, and then Bubish will pitch the home opener.
Okay. Yeah, they did line it up that way. But, haven't announced the position player mix, haven't announced the bullpen mix, and they're under no obligation to do so. But I also don't think, like I said, I think the bullpen mix is pretty straightforward. A little bit of some surprises, I think, in the bullpen mix. But the bullpen mix, I think, is pretty settled. So we'll get into that. We'll have our headlines. We'll have some final thoughts on the NCAA Tournament, KU's second-round loss to St. John's. It's all coming up on the final hour of 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and, of course, on our video streaming channels. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. However, wherever, whenever, if you're just joining us right now, if you've been with us throughout, if you're catching this show on a replay, archived, podcast, whenever you're listening, thanks for listening to 580 Sports Talk. I'm Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis is across the glass. We are with you until 6 o'clock tonight. So one full final hour with you here on the show. Want to hear from you? 785-272-9429 is the number. 785-272-9429. Can also interact with us in our live chat, which has been very active today, as per usual. On our YouTube is the name of the channel. Anytime that we are live on the radio, we are live on video. So if you've never checked out the YouTube stream before, never been part of the live chat, no day like today, go check it out. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. And slam that subscribe button while you're over there if you haven't done that yet, because all it costs you is a click. And we like to see the number go up. So go subscribe and check out our live YouTube chat, 580 Sports Talk. And if you're not on YouTube, but you've got, I don't know, you're driving home and you got CarPlay, you want to text the show, or you're sitting around and want to text the show. Don't text and drive unless you've got like hands-free, please, for everybody's sake. But you can text the program 785-272-9429. Coming up in this final hour of the show, the countdown is on. We are inside of a week. We are 4 days away from Kansas City Royals opening day, Friday evening in Atlanta against the Braves. We're a week away from the home opener at the K, as a matter of fact. So we're right there. We're right there. We're just about to transition over to, as I call it, only half joking, the only sport that matters. Baseball is here, and the Royals roster is not entirely settled, but it sure feels like their bullpen is. And we'll talk about the shape of the bullpen, why there are some surprises as to who did not make it and who did, and what it might reveal about the Royals' priorities and what they're going to try to do with their staff over the first couple of weeks, at the very least, of the 2026 season.
Back to what you said about the time of year. Brendan came in earlier, and I said, well, I guess at least it's baseball season this week. And he goes, you're telling me.
Yeah, Brendan's ready. Brendan's ready for it.
Yeah.
Cubbies were a playoff team last year and should be good again this year. Added Alex Bregman. I don't. My team stinks. Everybody knows that.
My team does too.
Yeah, I was gonna try and be polite, but there really isn't a polite way to say it. Like I've been diving into the new baseball prospectus. It came in the mail last week. I've been really tearing into it, getting my fantasy team situated for the new year and all that good stuff. I was reading the Nationals chapter, buddy. I don't know who the hell plays for your team. You got James Wood and C.J. Abrams and a whole bunch of replacement level.
Cade Cavalli.
Okay.
Starter, the opening day starter, supposed to be very good. He, I believe, had TJ a couple years ago, so he's coming back.
I remember him on the come up as a prospect, and then I remember him getting hurt. So,
but Dylan Cruz in the minors. That's how things are going.
Yeah. Yeah. There are a handful of teams every year, like more and more, and it's kind of the irony of this whole. Well, we need a salary cap in baseball. Like, all you got to do is get in the dance and get hot for a month. You can win a championship. And there are probably, I would say 2/3 of the league, probably even a little bit more, can realistically on March 23rd say, yeah, we got a shot to sneak a playoff spot. The playoffs have never been bigger. 6 teams per league make it. Like, there are, I think, probably, and I haven't really sat and looked and really thought this through, but there are probably at least 20 teams, maybe even a couple of more than that can reasonably say, you know what, we have some horses, or we're in a division that's not very good. We got a shot. We got a shot to make the playoffs. You and I both root for teams that don't.
Yeah, and the problem about my team is they thought they were retooling the last 3 years, and then they fired everybody. So now you come in and you got a whole new mind deciding to not retool, rebuild.
Right. Well,
So
yeah.
now it's like everything that they thought they started 3 years ago is really starting over again.
Yeah, but your manager is a literal child.
Yes.
It is, unfortunately, it is not Drew Butera's son. But 33-year-old Blake Butera is the manager of the Washington Nationals. If anybody can name the Rockies manager, I'll be freaking impressed. Warren Schaefer's his name.
Oh.
Anyway, there's no reason to know anything about or talk about. I promise to not bring them up unless they come up wholly organically this season. I'm not going to subject you people to that. He had text from the 785. Embrace baseball this year. You know what's coming. 2027 will be the year of banana ball. So there's actually a really good essay in this year's Baseball Prospectus handbook, or not handbook. The thing is like 8 pounds. But in the Baseball Prospectus Guide to the Season, there's a really good essay in the back of it. Mark Normandin wrote it. He's written a lot about on that website and elsewhere about like baseball as like labor, like the pending labor dispute and other issues of labor in professional baseball. He's actually of the mind that there will not be an extended lockout in 2027. And this is the reason why. Do you know what expires in 2028? All these TV contracts. Yeah. All of these major national TV contracts. You don't want to go into a lame duck TV contract year with partners who are wondering, hey, so how much inventory are you going to give us? How much inventory are we paying for? No. Major League Baseball wants to break the bank on their TV deals. And what they really want, and what all owners can agree on, because not all 30 owners are in lockstep on this idea if we need a salary cap, right? Like, you think Steve Cohen wants a salary cap? You think Guggenheim in LA, that you think they want a salary cap? Not everybody's lockstep on a salary cap.
If you have a salary cap, you have to have a salary floor. And there are also a lot of teams that don't want salary floors.
Yes, exactly right. What teams want, what teams are going to want is more revenue sharing for the poorer clubs. And Major League Baseball does a ton of revenue sharing. Normandin writes about this, and I wish I had it in front of me because I could actually cite it, but it's really interesting to think about. Baseball has an opportunity with the collapse of the regional sports network to bring everybody's TV production in-house and distribute TV revenue evenly. Whereas it used to be like you had, the Dodgers had a ridiculous TV deal with Time Warner when their games were on whatever it is, Time Warner Los Angeles, or whatever the name of that cable channel is, Sportsnet Los Angeles. And the Phillies had their TV deal, which is big money in Philadelphia. The Yankees had their own network. You can make all their money on that. Well,
the Orioles had a network that added to the Nationals because they went into their region and then screwed them for 20 years.
Right. So the Orioles were making more money off of that deal than the Nationals were. Like, teams it was scalable. There were teams that made a lot of money from their TV deal, and teams that didn't make a lot of money from their TV deal. And now there are a bunch of teams with no TV deal. But if Major League Baseball brings all of those broadcast rights under one umbrella, and like, there's going to be pushback from the teams that have their own networks, like the Cubs, like the Yankees,
the Braves are setting up,
the Red Sox, the Braves are trying to set one up, right? But if the league takes control of that, then they're able to more evenly distribute television rights, which the NFL does.
Yeah.
Big part of what makes NFL owners so happy is everybody gets an equal slice of the TV pie. If Major League Baseball can deliver an equal slice of the television pie to all 30 owners, that might make them happy enough to sign off on a collective bargaining agreement that would at least take them for a few years through the re-up with all the national TV partners, and then go for the salary cap if that's something they still really want in like 2033. Anyway, I know that's boring. I know that's a diversion, but I am saying, after I read that, I am more optimistic that a lockout will be avoided in 2027 than I have been. It's still certainly a possibility, but I think there is a reason for optimism, which is Major League Baseball doesn't want to screw up their TV money. Owners do not want to screw up their TV money because that TV money is really, really important to them.
Yeah.
And a lockout and the possibility of a missed season, because the players, like, the Major League Baseball Players Union is the only players union that has not been broken. All of the other players unions have been broken. The NFLPA is so broken that they rehired J.C. Treader, right? And they're going to fold on everything. There's salary caps. The salary caps exist in other leagues because the unions got broken. The Major League Baseball Players Union is the only one that has never been broken. And they will not break on the salary cap. They will not budge. And so Major League Baseball has a choice. Okay, yeah, you cancel a season. Well, you don't get that TV money. And then what are you going to sell your TV partners on a brand new TV deal? Like, remember what the NHL's TV deal looked like when they came out of their lockout? It was trash. They had games on the Outdoor Life Network. So, yes, there's a warning sign, a cautionary tale out there. Like, they don't want to mess with that TV money. And I think that might be the saving grace for a 2027 baseball season is that aspect of it. So hopefully that fills you with, if not like unabashed optimism, then maybe feeling a little bit better about not just saying, well, forget about the 2027 season. Because I know I've been doing the same thing for a while, and now I feel less like doing that. So maybe it will have the same effect on you. Anyway, let's get to some headlines, though, shall we? Because we got a lot that we can talk about today. A lot going on in the college sports world. So that's where we're going to begin. And we're going to begin locally with another member of the MIAA regular season and tournament champion Washburn men's basketball program entering the transfer portal. Last week, we told you about sophomore big man Dylan Clausen going portaling today. It was guard Jeremiah Jones who set the program record for steals in a single season, was the MIAA's Defensive Player of the Year, and he announced today that he will be entering the transfer portal. He's got an opportunity, certainly. Defensively, there's no doubt he's a Division I caliber player. Average shy of 10 points per game, but the defensive value was off the charts. One of the best on-ball defenders, one of the best stealers, thieves of the basketball in the history of Washburn men's hoops. He is entering the transfer portal. So that means that Washburn, as of now, is only returning one starter. That would be senior 2B, Jack Batchelor, from the starting lineup from the team that went 31-2 this past season. So
I would venture to guess that Mark Turgeon is going to give him an offer at Kansas City.
He very well could. I think that would make a certain amount of sense. He's got, some guards that are a similar size and could use some veterans. I mean, he's obviously gone young. He's recruited the territory. That would make a certain amount of sense. I think that's probably a good league for Jeremiah, the Summit League.
Or Chicago schools, where he's from.
Yeah, he's also from the Chicago area, so
Loyola.
maybe like a Loyola or UIC comes calling, something like that. But wish Jeremiah all the best. A one-year Ichabod, but boy, did he make a huge impact for Washburn hoops this past year. How about you give us some college basketball headlines, Spencer?
Yeah, I'll give you, we'll both talk the WBIT and the NIT. Kansas State women's basketball season unfortunately came to an end yesterday at Bramlage Coliseum in the second round of the WBIT as they were a 2 seed and they fell to 3 seed Cal 83-75. And they, unfortunately, it was really the second and third frames that hurt them. They were outscored 45-28 in the second and third and tried to come back in that fourth quarter, but couldn't make it happen. Their season of, I guess, learning to play together came to an end in a tournament, which was good for them. I think with the younger pieces getting a little bit more playing time, like Jordan Spicer played 24 minutes of action in that game, scoring 12 points.
She made the all-tournament team of the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah.
She's got a chance to be real good, and Kansas State has to do whatever they can to keep her as a core piece, no doubt.
Kansas women, they are moving on. They knocked off also a 2 seed themselves, knocked off a 3 seed Rice 62-55 at Allen Fieldhouse, as they controlled things pretty much throughout, but in the second frame only allowed 7 points, which helped them win the game as they scored 15. They are going to take on a number 4 seed San Diego Thursday in the quarterfinals.
San Diego State.
Thursday in the quarterfinals, 6:30 at Allen Fieldhouse. I believe that'll also be on ESPN Plus.
That's right.
And then if they make the semifinal and championship, that'll be in Wichita State's Charles Koch Arena. Speaking of Wichita State, the Shockers are going to the quarterfinals of the NIT tomorrow night. They're going to travel to number 1 Tulsa as the 3 seed in their side of the bracket as they blew out Oklahoma State a 2 seed, 96-70, 3-point shooting galore from Kenyon Giles as he went Giles as he went 8 of 16, scoring 28 points in the game. Michael Gray Jr. and Karan Boyd added 6 threes in the contest. It was just a blowout. 52 points in the second half for Wichita State. Again, they'll play Tulsa tomorrow, 6 p.m. I believe that's on ESPN2.
That's right. That's right. So New Mexico and St. Joe's is the other quarterfinal on their side of the bracket. So winner of that matchup plays the winner at Tulsa, Wichita State at historic Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. Much like every other tournament this year, seemingly, the semifinals and the championship are the weekend of the Final Four in the same city as the Final Four.
They did that on purpose.
Yes. That was entirely intentional. Like Sunday the 5th, the NIT title game is that night. I think the Division II title game is that night.
I think it's in the middle of the day. The Division III championships are also in Indianapolis that weekend. So, yes, that was intentional on the part of the NCAA. But cool to see Wichita State make this run. Really nice sort of renaissance. I don't know if you'd call it that. It hasn't been that long since Wichita State was good. But nice to see them back winning and getting butts in the seats at Koch Arena and bringing that feeling back. And, of course, if you follow Wichita State, you know that a run in the NIT usually means that even better days than that are not far away. 43 combined wins over the last 2 seasons after going 15-19 and 23-24.
Yeah, it took some time, but Paul Mills got them going in the right direction. Let's stay with college hoops. It's been a busy day in the coaching carousel. A couple of Big 12 vacancies have been filled today. Arizona State hires Randy Bennett, who had been at St. Mary's since 2001. Wow. And all Bennett did at St. Mary's, which is the only head coaching job he's ever had, is go 589 and 228. That's a 721 winning percentage. Won 75% of his games in the West Coast Conference, 304 and 99 in the West Coast Conference. Won or shared the league title each of the last 4 years. Went to the NCAA tournament each of the last 5 seasons. And all told, went to the NCAA tournament 12 times in his tenure at St. Mary's. Won 4 West Coast Conference tournament titles, 7 West Coast Conference regular season championships, and was 7-time Conference Coach of the Year. He is an Arizona native, grew up, went to high school, and started his college career in Mesa, Arizona. So a bit of a homecoming for Bennett, who is 63 years old. He'll turn 64 before he ever coaches a game for the Sun Devils. If you've watched St. Mary's, you know this. If you haven't, you're going to learn watching Arizona State next year. They play slowly. They are one of the slowest tempo teams in America on a year in, year out basis. So that's what the Big 12's got coming their way. Randy Bennett, verified, excellent coach. Finally gets his chance at the power conference level, and he gets it at Arizona State. Cincinnati, meanwhile, today, announcing that they are bringing home Jared Calhoun, who just recently took Utah State to the round of 32, where they gave Arizona all they could handle in the end in that second-round matchup on Sunday. Well, now he'll get to coach against Arizona a lot more often because he's coming to the Big 12 as the new coach at Cincinnati. Calhoun is a Cincinnati native. He is a Cincinnati alum. Played basketball at Cleveland State before going to Cincinnati, transferring to Cincinnati before the end of his college playing career to become a student assistant. Like, he realized during his playing career, I'm not going to do much with this, but I'm going to move on. I'm going to go pro in something other than playing basketball. I'm going to be a coach. So he got his degree and finished as a student assistant at Cincinnati. He had previously been the head coach at Utah State for the last 2 years. Prior to that, he was at Youngstown State for 7 years, Fairmont State Division II program in West Virginia for 5 years before that. Just 44 years old. There were a lot of rumors that he was the preferred choice of Kansas State in their coaching search, but if Calhoun saw the Cincinnati opening and wanted to go home, then there wasn't any way Kansas State was going to beat that. So, Jared Calhoun.
All of the things that have happened make so much sense why Casey Alexander is the new head coach.
Yes. The way the dominoes, and there's another domino that fell today that
Yes.
I was going to get to. Creighton's head coach Greg McDermott has announced that his 25th year will be his last. He is going to retire after Creighton plays in the Crown. What a noble way to end a great career. Greg McDermott hanging it up at Creighton. Alan Huss, who had been on his staff as the coach in waiting, and was another coach that had been rumored to be the target of interest for Kansas State in their coaching search, will indeed replace McDermott on the sidelines at Creighton. So those are two Big 12 and one Big East program announcing their coaching hires today. And one other program hired a coach today, not a high-profile program, but certainly a name you're familiar with, former Cincinnati head coach Wes Miller. He's going back to North Carolina. He will be the head coach at Charlotte. Give me another headline.
Yes, KU baseball swept Houston over the weekend. They have now won 5 straight dating back to last weekend. They are 15-8 and 4-2 in the Big 12. They play Sac State tomorrow at Hogland Ballpark. They'll play 2. They'll play Wednesday as well. These games on ESPN Plus. K-State salvaged one Sunday in a series loss to Arizona State. They now sit at 17-7, 3-3 in the conference. They'll have a matchup with number 24 Nebraska tomorrow at Toyton Family Stadium. It's a 6 p.m. contest. We'll have that right here for you.
Yes, we will. You can hear it right here on 580 WIBW, pregame at 5:30 from the K-State Sports Network tomorrow. That was a really good series. Arizona State won the first game, 1-run game, 5-4. And then I think K-State tied it or took a brief lead in the 8th on Saturday. And then the bullpen sprung a leak, to put it mildly, and gave up a bunch of runs in what ended up being an 18-12 loss. But Lincoln Sheffield made sure there was no need for the bullpen, and the K-State offense made sure there was no need for all 9 innings in yesterday's 12-1 7-inning Mercy Rule victory over Arizona State. That might have been 2 of the 3 best teams in the conference playing this weekend. Very real chance. Like West Virginia's out hot, and they're really
going to host a regional.
It looks like they're on track to do that. They're out really hot. Arizona State's out really hot. TCU is dealing with a lot of injuries, haven't been as good as advertised. There's some other programs I'm sure that'll get going, but that was a good series this weekend at Toyton Family Stadium. Tough break for K-State to only get 1, but they did get 1 and have a chance for a top 25 home win tomorrow night. Lastly, we'll go to the winner's circle. Tyler Reddick won again on the NASCAR Cup Series. That's 4 wins for this dude. And I think the average sports fan didn't really know much about going into this season. 4th win already this year. He wins at Darlington.
Look, that's winning in racing, I think, is such an interesting concept, right? Because the money that you earn, like, this is going to allow him to race for a long time, even if he doesn't have success.
Apparently, he had a battery issue in his car. They had to swap in a new battery, but they were having problems charging the vehicle. He had to turn off the fans and the power to his suit. So he was sitting in there roasting.
Yeah.
And he made it happen. And the pictures of Michael Jordan celebrating this are so funny. Like, I don't think MJ's had fun like this since, like, he was winning maybe his 5th championship. We know that the 6th one was maybe not always the most fun. We all watched The Last Dance. But, like, MJ is loving this, man. He's having a blast. So it's really cool. It's cool to see.
I think
it's cool to see him experiencing joy.
I think he found something that he could, like, not only just invest money in, but, like, actually be present.
And it's scratching the competitive itch.
Yeah.
And now, like, it was always scratching the competitive itch. Like, he's a serial competitor. It's what he lives to do. It's why he had the gambling thing that he had going for all those years. But now he's scratching the winning itch. Now he's winning, and man, he's loving it. It's really funny to see. Also, on the PGA Tour over the weekend, Matt Fitzpatrick, your winner at the Copperhead course in the Valspar Championship, playing some really good golf. He's already a major champ. Keep an eye on him at Augusta here in a couple of weeks. That's not me picking him. The leading Masters tout in America will make a Masters pick the week of the Masters. Just telling you, keep an eye on it. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk some baseball here on 580 Sports Talk. Folks, don't wait. St. Jude Dream Home tickets will sell out. Reserve your $100 ticket now. Help save the life of a child, and you could win a brand new $410,000 home built by Drip A Homes. Plus, you're entered to win a $10,000 Denali Home Design gift certificate. Get your St. Jude Dream Home ticket today at 580WIBW.com. The St. Jude Dream Home features a large butler's pantry, custom closet systems, an oversized two-car garage, and a FEMA-rated storm shelter. It's located in Sherwood Park in Topeka. Again, that estimated value, $410,000. The giveaway is June 10th, but again, tickets will sell out. So reserve your $100 ticket now for our St. Jude Dream Home and help save the life of a child. Families never receive a bill from St. Jude. They have helped push the overall survival rate from 20% to more than 80% for pediatric cancer. St. Jude Dream Home tickets available on our website, 580WIBW.com. We got some baseball tonight here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, bringing you one of two of the exhibition contests between the Royals and the Rangers. These are different than Cactus League contests because, well, they're not in Arizona anymore. Rangers get to hang out at home. Royals get to spend a couple of days in Texas. They got a couple of guys on the roster from Texas. I'm sure get to see their families. And then it's real baseball. Then it's for the money, starting on Friday for the Royals when they head out to Atlanta. But these games are always instructive because you don't see generally the parade of minor leaguers that come in the 5th or 6th or 7th inning. These games are much more like dress rehearsals for the real thing. And that is reflected in how the lineups typically look in games like this. So tonight, with the Royals set to face Texas left-hander, national great, Mackenzie Gore, this is how the Royals lineup looks.
That sounds so weird to me.
Yeah, I had forgotten that trade had been made until like 2 days ago. Anyhow, Maikel Garcia is going to lead off at third base, followed by Bobby Witt Jr. at short. Then, Nationals great, Lane Thomas will be in center field batting third. Salvador Perez is going to hit cleanup and do the catching. Then Vinny Pasquantino's at first. Starling Marte is in right field batting sixth. Jonathan India is the second baseman batting seventh. Isaac Collins is the left fielder. He'll bat eighth. Carter Jensen DHing and batting ninth in support of starting pitcher Michael Wacha. This looks an awful lot like a lineup you could see the Royals roll out there against a left-handed starter. It's very it's heavy on right-handers. No Jack Caglione, obviously. Pasquantino's down in the order. Lane Thomas is up in the order and playing center field instead of Kyle Isbell. Starling Marte is in there and in the field, which is interesting. I'll tell you this. I think I'd rather get Kaggs' bat in the lineup and have Marte DH, even if it means Kaggs is batting ninth against the lefty, than have Marte in the field and Jensen DHing. But I guess you may as well find out what Marte's got in his legs, how he can cover right field in a game that doesn't mean anything. So it's an interesting 9, I think, for the boys in blue tonight as they get ready to face a left-handed starting pitcher. Collins, of course, is a DH, batting eighth. You know what else he is? He's the guy who throws up on roller coasters. Apparently, they had a team trip to the roller coaster, like to a theme park. The boys went to a theme park, and Isaac Collins got sick on the roller coaster. You ever get sick on a roller coaster?
Can't say I have.
I studiously avoid the kinds of roller coasters that I feel like could make me sick. Also, I haven't been on a roller coaster in, 20 years at least. When was the last time you were on a roller coaster?
That's a great question. I'd say probably some point in college. So probably 8 years ago.
Okay. Where's the nearest roller coaster?
To home.
Yeah, to home. Like
King's Dominion in Richmond.
Okay. So that's where you would have gone.
Or Hershey Park in Hershey, PA.
Oh, okay.
So
Cool.
one of those, I've frequented those places.
Okay. Were you a big this turned into Random Question Tuesday somehow. Were you a big like amusement park guy? You and your buddies go like check it out when you were kids, or
no? I mean, we went school trips.
Yeah.
So our senior high school trip.
Oh, interesting. Ours was 8th grade. 8th grade.
We did
the whole district goes to Six Flags Elitch Gardens.
So we did 8th grade was to Hershey Park, and senior year was to King's Dominion. So we would go on like the last week of school, right? But our counties went longer than most counties in the state. Or short, it was the second to last week.
Mm-hmm.
This was the last week for all the other counties of the school. There was nobody there but us, right? And maybe a few families that were visiting. There's a Dale Earnhardt Intimidator 305. It was like 305 feet and you go straight down.
Oh, wow.
We rode that thing 10 times in a row because nobody was there.
Man, that's the best when you get there and you just ride the same ride over and over again.
Yes. Another quick story before we get back into I was probably in 6th or 7th grade. We went with so this was before the school trip to Hershey Park. Maybe I was in 5th grade. We went like as a whole family, like extended family, and me and my cousin Colin, who is like a year older than me, we would just go off and do our own thing, right? Because there's smaller kids below that were grouped together, and it was just us. So we went to there was like an hour wait for this ride, and we went on it. And then we could see our family sitting in a little area, just they're hanging out. Oh, they're just sitting there. Okay, we'll go on another one and another one. We were gone for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And the whole park was looking for us.
Oh, no.
We got found by a security guard.
Oh, no. You were missing person.
Yes, we were missing persons.
So the Royals went to Six Flags Over Texas, which I don't know if you've been out to that part of Arlington, but it's all over in the same spot. Six Flags Over Texas is right by the old ballpark at Arlington, which is right by Globe Life Field, which is right by AT&T Stadium. So probably I would imagine the team hotel is over there too, but they all went to Six Flags Over Texas, and Isaac Collins threw up on the roller coaster, and we wouldn't know this if the paisans on the club didn't throw him under the bus. Vinny Pasquantino posted on his Instagram a picture from the roller coaster and the caption, "This was 2 minutes before at Isaac Collins 2 threw up while still on the ride. Hashtag built different." Jack Caglione used the same picture on his Instagram, and his caption was "Moments before disaster at Isaac Collins 2. Much more subtle, but I tell that story to address how high the vibes are with this Royals club.
Yeah.
Really good vibes with this bunch. Like there were solid vibes last year. I just feel like the vibes are even higher. Vinny's more established. Salvi just won the World Baseball Classic. Everybody knows Mike Hell's a star. Everybody knows Bobby Witt Jr. is America's shortstop. Michael, you're right. Quarter for the jar. That's on me. Thank you. Thank you for keeping me honest. But like, I just feel like the vibes are tremendous with this Royals team. And I'm a big believer in baseball. You've got to have good vibes. Like, you've got to. For the 162 game grind, you've got to be a good vibes club.
I think
Starling Marte is like a legendary vibes guy, and he's in the clubhouse now. Like, I don't know. I'm feeling really good about the Royals from a vibes perspective.
I think a lot of it has to do with the young core.
Yes, having younger guys.
You get a young core where I think, like, I don't know. I just feel like my age range.
You saying us old guys don't know how to have fun?
No. Like you're more. I don't know. Like
because when you have young guys and they're
more apt to hang out. They're more apt to do things, even if they have.
Some of them came up through the minors together.
Yes.
Or they're experiencing all this for the first time together. No, I definitely think that.
Or they're rooming together.
Yeah. Like Vinny and Bobby. Yeah. No.
In spring training.
Yeah, definitely something to that. 4 days from opening day, the Royals going to retire number 4 for Alex Gordon. Somebody brought that up in the live chat the other day, because we were talking about number 7, and are we watching the last Royal to ever wear number 7? And Bobby Witt Jr. Certainly that's his ceiling. He's a guy who sticks around long enough and plays well enough that it's a no-brainer to retire his number. The Royals have never retired the number of a guy who played for anybody but the Royals. George Brett was a career Royal. Frank White was a career Royal. Alex Gordon was a career Royal. And value-wise, Frank White's career wins above replacement, 34.9. Alex Gordon, 34.8. Like, he's right there at the standard. He's a local-ish. He's from Lincoln, Nebraska, not that far away. He's a Midwestern kid, drafted by the club, played for a champion, went to some all-star games, won a mess of Gold Gloves. It is basically Frank White's career for the modern Royal fan. A champion, a Gold Glover, and a lifetime Royal. I think you can make the case. I think you can make the case that I'll say this. I don't think we're going to see anybody get number 4 for a long time. I think they're going to keep it out of circulation for a long time. They don't want to give it to some jabroni and then have to go double back and say, "Hey, Alex, our bad. We're going to retire this." They're going to keep it, I think, out of circulation for a while until. I'll go ahead and say I think they'll retire it. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got more 580 Sports Talk coming your way next. Got a score update from the women's NCAA tournament. Second round action. So this is a number 1 seed versus a number 9 seed. Syracuse went 24-8 this year in the ACC. Good league.
Yeah.
Good league for women's basketball. They are losing to UConn at halftime, 65-12.
UConn's just built different. That's all I gotta say.
AZ Fudd has twice as many points as Syracuse as a team as a team.
That's
that
crazy.
I just saw that come across. I had to share that. That's incredible. I'm Dan. He's Spencer. This is 580. I never did get to the bullpen conversation about the Royals because we were too busy talking about Alex Collins yakking on Isaac Collins yakking it on the roller coaster, throwing up. I think they're set. I think it's going to be Estevez and Ersteg and Schreiber and Mears from the right side. They're going to go 4 lefties. Strom, Lang, Lynch, and I think Falter has made the team as sort of their. We can't afford to DFA this guy because he's out of options. We lose him, and he's got starting pitching experience, and they want to use a 6th starter, I think, a couple of times in the first couple of weeks of the season, and so Falter's just the guy they're going to hang on to. I'm a little surprised.
The dual option guy, the guy that can go into relief but also start if we need him, that's on the roster without bringing a guy up.
The swing man. Yeah, I'm just surprised it's not Ryan Bergert in that role because Bergert's better. And I understand it's like, well, we can't, like, Bergert has options and Falter doesn't. So we want to hang on to Falter, see if this works out. But, like, I just think Bergert's better. And I think any game that you willingly use a lesser talent in could be the one that costs you a playoff spot. Like, that's how thin I think the margins are in the Central between Kansas City and Detroit. I don't think anybody else in the division is good. Spoiler alert for Wednesday's MLB preview show. I don't think anybody else in the Central is good. And I think Minnesota might be bad. Like, bad. Like, there's a chance. Anyhow. The NCAA tournament Sweet 16 is set. For the 4th straight year, does not include Kansas. Final thought from me about that game before we get to the final word here today is that at the end of the day, the margin for error for Kansas, talent-wise, just wasn't high enough. Not just because we never got to see Darryn Peterson at his best, because he was just starting to sort of come into his rhythm. Like, he struggled early in the game yesterday. He scored 21 points on 15 shots. That's not like super efficient, but that's pretty darn good. There were a lot of guys who were less efficient in that game than he was, and against a really good defensive team, 21 points on 15 shots. That's nothing to shake a stick at.
It's the spurts, though. It's like,
yeah, you get hot for a shot or two, and you feel like, oh boy, here it comes.
And then
it wouldn't.
It wouldn't.
Yeah. And that was the whole season. It was the whole season for Darryn Peterson. But not enough margin for error for KU in the end because you can get enough from him. And the rest of the roster, the talent on the roster is just not at the level of the teams that do have that margin for error. Multiple, like, where are the pros? Where are the NBA guys? That has to be the focus. And look, Kansas is not the only team that has struggled with the thought of, all right, we're going to bring in these guys, we're going to pay them NIL bucks, and they're not pros. Like Kentucky. Kentucky spent $22 million on their roster, allegedly. They don't have any NBA players. Like, maybe Otega Owe, but, like, they gave Jaden Quaintance all this money, and he played 4 games. So if you're going to invest, if you're going to recruit and invest, yes, you need program guys. Yes, you need good college basketball players. John Calipari is the only guy at Kentucky, is the only guy who's ever going to put together a roster with like 10 future NBA guys, right? You can't realistically do that. You got to have more than one. And Kansas might only had one on this roster, depending on how tall Flory Badunga actually is. And when you don't have a lot of pros, your margin for error gets small. And sometimes you bet on black and it comes up red. Sometimes you lose a 2-point game to a 5 seed when you're 4. This was a fun Kansas season. They were a fun team to watch at their best. Their lows could be really frustrating. Their deficiencies could be maddening. Missing out on what could have been with Darryn Peterson will be something that I think sticks with KU fans of this generation for a very long time. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back with a final word to put a bow on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Time to wrap it up. It's the final word here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuy, give it to me.
Yeah, I think Brandon Snyder might have saved his job by this run and saved his recruits.
Okay.
Because it was not looking good for the point towards the end of the regular season for the Kansas women's basketball team. And by saying that, I mean, well, you have Samaya Nichols going into her senior season next year, and you have Julia Davis, freshman phenom. And on top of that, you had another player coming in that's McDonald's All-American by the name of Sydney Bryant. I think a lot of people were maybe he's just there's been talk that he's just a great recruiter, can't coach. But if they can make a run in the rest of this WBIT tournament and these players get more and more involved, I think they have a bona fide roster next year if things go the way they are and they add a transfer. Could be a contender in the Big 12 next season to be contend for the Big 12 championship.
No excuses. Yeah, no excuses. They are. If they weren't out of excuses this year, they will be. But I plumb out of them next year.
The conversation maybe about transferring could go out of the way if they do well.
Final word for me today. It ends for a fourth straight year short of the second weekend for the Kansas Jayhawks, and I just keep going back to the what ifs. The what if of the entire season, of course, is Darryn Peterson. What if he'd been healthy? What if the cramps hadn't started in boot camp that had laid him low, that had maybe delayed some of his readiness for the season, that may have led to the hamstring injury, that led to him missing non-conference games, that led to his slow start to Big 12 play, that led to the cramps recurring, that led to him just starting to find his footing, both as an individual and with his teammates when the NCAA tournament got underway. The what if of the strategy of the loss to St. John's. What if KU had handled the final 14 seconds better? There was no reason for them to give away all their fouls to give. Had they used them with purpose, they might have been able to force a turnover. They might have been able to force a bad shot. They might have been able to force overtime, where I think they would have probably won. They didn't do any of that. They meekly gave away their fouls and put St. John's in a position where they didn't have to think. They just went to the basket. And KU couldn't foul, couldn't defend aggressively, and it cost them dearly. And then the what if of the micro. What if Flory Badunga had just jumped and tried to block that shot? Did he play cautious because he knew he had 4 fouls? Did he play cautious because he knew his team had none to give? Just wish we would have seen it go a little differently for the Kansas Jayhawks in 2026. That does it for us today. We're back tomorrow at 3. For Spencer, I'm Dan. Good night.